Okay, boys and girls, today's learning goal says, I can explain how erosion and floods are connected. Before we begin, I want you to turn to a partner and discuss what you think erosion is and what a flood is, and how you think they're connected before we begin learning. Hit play when you're ready. We're going to start with what is erosion. Now we know land can change quickly or slowly. Weathering and erosion slowly change the shape of land. Erosion is when rock and soil are moved by wind or water to a new place. Last week, we learned about weathering, and we learned that weathering was what? Turn and tell your partner, or say it to yourself, what you remember weathering is. Then hit play when you're ready. I hope you said weathering is the wearing away of rocks and breaking them up into little bits and pieces. Then you would be correct. Now, erosion can't happen without weathering. Erosion is when that rock and soil that are broken apart gets moved by wind or water. And as you can see in this picture of the beach, wind can pick up and move these pieces of sand to a new place. Now, we just learned in the last slide that erosion can happen two ways. We can have water erosion and wind erosion. Let's learn about water erosion. Water covers almost 3/4 of Earth. It flows through rivers and streams and falls to the ground as rain or snow. As it moves, it changes Earth's surface. Moving water wears away the rocks and soil it flows over. It also picks up and carries bits of soil, sand, and rocks and drops them in new places. Caption says here that water moves more earth than any other process. Look at this picture here. Talk to your partner about how you think this happened. Then hit play when you're ready. What did you and your partner say about this picture? Well, there once was a lot of water in here, but over time, a lot of that water dried up, and some of it kept moving down and moving along, moving the bits and pieces of rock and sand with it. Weathering also occurred here because, as you can see, some of the land got kind of weathered away or worn away, and then erosion happened by moving those bits and pieces of rock to a new spot. Moving water carries bits of soil and rock with it. Water that moves quickly pushes harder than water that moves slowly. So water that moves quickly can carry bigger pieces of earth than water that moves slowly. Rain flowing across the ground picks up tiny bits of soil. Streams and rivers pick up soil and rocks. And waves pick up soil, sand, and stones from the shores of lakes and oceans. So if you've ever been to the beach before, boys and girls, you've actually seen erosion happen. When those waves come out towards where you are, on the shore, it's bringing bits and pieces of sand with it. And then when it goes back into the ocean, it's bringing back some new bits and pieces of sand. Look at this picture. Talk to your partner about how you think erosion is happening in this picture. Hit play when you're ready. What is wind erosion? Well, moving earth. Wind can pick up and move tiny bits of rock and soil. Sometimes it can carry these pieces long distances before dropping them. Moving material from one place to another is called erosion. And boys and girls, sand is made up of tiny pieces of rock, and sometimes wind moves sand into large piles. And those piles of sand are known as sand dunes. Continuing with wind erosion, wind blows across the ground and moves pieces of earth. It pushes heavier bits along the ground. Lighter bits are lifted high into the air. Strong winds can pick up large amounts of sand, dust, and soil. And then, when the wind dies out, it drops them into a new place. Bits of dust are very light. Wind can lift them high off the ground. Our other natural disaster we're going to talk about is a flood. What is a flood? Well, a flood happens when more water flows over land and cannot easily soak into the ground. A flood can happen after rain. A flood can happen with strong waves. Rivers can flood, lakes can flood, and even oceans can flood. A flood can quickly change the surface of Earth. A flood can happen when too much rainwater falls. Storms can cause floods. And in a flood, water from rivers flows over the land. Floodwater enters houses and other buildings, taking lives and destroying natural environments. As you can see in this picture right here. Now, our learning goal says that we're going to be able to discuss or explain how erosion and floods are connected. So we just learned a little bit about both, and with your partner, I want you to discuss how you think these two topics are connected. What do they have to do with each other? When you're ready, hit play. Hopefully you said that erosion and floods are connected because they change the surface of the earth. Now tell your partner, how does erosion change the surface of the earth? Is it a fast change or a slow change? And do the same thing for a flood. Hit play when you're ready. I hope you said that erosion happens slowly, so it would be a slow change. On the other hand, a flood happens quickly, and that's a fast change. Good job, boys and girls. Now, how are erosion and floods alike? What do you think? Tell your partner your thoughts of how they're alike. Hit play when you're ready. I hope you said erosion and floods are alike because they both move rocks, sand, and sediment from one place to another. Good job. Now, how are they different? Talk to your partner on how you think they're different. Hit play when you're ready. Erosion and floods are different because a flood happens quickly and changes that surface of the earth in a fast way. But erosion happens slowly over long periods of time. Good job, boys and girls. We have learned a lot about erosion and floods and how they're connected. Make sure to rewatch the video if you have any questions.